So the official Japanese Dragon Ball website has some brand new, awesome, and I'll be honest, very exciting and interesting information that they put out about the upcoming Dragon Ball Super movie this December, including some really interesting tidbits about Toriyama, the writing process, and the design of the characters that I think will maybe answer a lot of questions that we've been having. Very, very exciting stuff here. Now, obviously, the majority of you watching this don't know how to read Japanese. So, of course, we're going to head over to the best translator that we have in our fandom, and that is Herms, who has taken time to translate all of this new information here. I mean, there's just so much to digest, so what I'll do is I'll go ahead and read the translation like I've done before, and I will give you my I guess, opinion or kind of more information that I've gathered about the individual translation tidbits. There's so much here. I mean, it's a huge interview. So here's what we have so far. Let's go ahead and read what Herm says. Dragon Ball Room Chief Akio Ioku. This is the guy who's in charge of the Dragon Ball Room, which is the room that the group that is together writing Dragon Ball stories, says that the Dragon Ball Super movie will have a multi-layered story with parts set both the past and the present and multiple settings. Toriyama provided the story and over 20 sheets of designs, including characters, machines, and at least one new planet. This is going to be, without question, the largest Dragon Ball movie we have ever gotten as far as scale and scope. Think back to all the other Dragon Ball movies we've gotten, the Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z movies. They were pretty simple. You know, bad guy shows up, they fight the Z Fighters, Goku and sometimes Gohan or somebody beats them. That's usually how they were. There are some differences here and there. Even with Battle of Gods and Resurrection F, those seemed like very, very simple stories, especially Resurrection F. It was a really simple story. Not much to it at all. With this film, because they're going to be going between the past and the present and different planets and stuff like that, we've never really seen a film have this much scope. Now, obviously, there have been other Dragon Ball movies where we went to other planets. You know, case in point, the Broly movie, the second Cooler film. This has been done before, but this is implied that we're going to different parts in the timeline, too. So I'm really excited about this. This is kind of what I wanted. Like, this is kind of what I've wanted from a big, you know, huge Dragon Ball film. I've always wanted this, and we're going to get it, or at least I think we're going to get it based on this information. You know, a new planet, at least one new planet. That's interesting. Let's go on to the next part of the translation here. Working out the story with Toriyama was mainly done via email, with them meeting in person about once every 2 months. Now, that's something I've talked about before on the channel in different streams and things like that. And if you've been a long-time subscriber to me and you've watched most of my content, you know, I've made jokes about how Toriyama, and they weren't really jokes, it was just funny observations. Toriyama's not at Toei. Toriyama does not go to Toei and sit in with the meetings. He contacts them via mail or email. The dude is a recluse. Toriyama rarely leaves his house. You know, so don't expect him to appear at a convention. Maybe ever. He did one in 03, maybe never again. Says here it all started around spring 2017, about a year ago, when they provided Toriyama with several proposals for a new movie, which, while mostly rejected, did get him thinking. So in other words, what happened here is they met with Toriyama a year ago. They gave him a bunch of ideas for a Dragon Ball movie. And again, what surprises me, and I've talked about this before, is that this movie has been planned for over a year. They were planning on releasing this film for over a year. This is not just some new project. And Toriyama rejected all of the ideas until we get to the next translation bit. Things sped up once it was decided to make the story about the Saiyans. Toriyama provided the initial story in May 2017. So, if you guys remember, May 2017 is when we first heard that Frieza was going to come into the Tournament of Power arc. That long ago. It feels like forever, right? That long ago. What she was worried was too short. It was expanded, but then it became too long. Toei is now working on putting it all together. So, the original script, too short. The revised script was too long. I guess the finale will be right in the middle. Now, you're going to see a lot of clickbait going around in the next few weeks, maybe the next few months, about how long this movie is. There's no, as of right now, and if there is news on this, I'll report on it, but as of right now, we don't know how long it's going to be. Could be an hour and a half, could be 2 hours. I'm hoping it's 2 hours. And in fact, it even says here, Ioku mentions that telling a complete story in 2 hours is probably easier for Toriyama than doing the story for a long-running TV show, but this reference to 2 hours seems like a figure of speech rather than the literal runtime of the final film. So it could be 2 hours. This does not confirm it's 2 hours. I know a lot of folks, there was a lot of fake BS going around for Resurrection F that was going to be a 2-hour movie, but no, that was not a 2-hour movie. It was about 80 minutes or so, if I remember correctly. This one, we don't know. We're going to get an official runtime probably in a few months. I would say roughly around probably October, I would say. But as of right now, we don't know. But what he's talking about, what Ioku's talking about is that it's easier for Toriyama to write a self-contained, smaller story than to write a long-running TV show continuous story. So, and that's how things are now, which is why, if you remember, Dragon Ball Super's arcs were pretty short. I mean, you've got the Resurrection F and the Battle of Gods retellings from movies, which were short, all under 2 hours each. Then you've got Universe 6, which was, not a very long arc. It really wasn't. When you think about it, you could probably shave that down and make it into a movie if you really wanted to. Skip some of the fluff stuff. And then you got the Trunks arc, which is about 20 episodes, a bit longer, but again, still not as long as anything in Dragon Ball or Z. Nothing has been as long as the old arcs, except for the Tournament of Power. But a lot of that was just one big fight. So, to tell a story, like an actual beginning, middle, and end, it seems to be easier for Toriyama to do this if it's a shorter story. You know what I mean? That's what they're saying right here. And then Herms goes on to translate, one thing Toriyama told him to watch out for when auditioning a new character designer was if they could make a character look cool standing straight facing forward. It's easier to make a character look cool facing to one side, but they often look awkward facing straight ahead. He's talking about kind of the fact that now Shintani's doing the designs. So the idea of them coming up with a new designer, taking over from Tadayoshi Yamamuro and kind of giving the movie a more of an old school kind of vintage look to it, that apparently was Toei's idea, but Toriyama definitely sort of told them, okay, if you're going to look for one, have them be sort of like this and not like this. Now, I do like that Toriyama has apparently tons of creative input, in this film, and people are probably wondering, okay, how much is he writing? We know that Toriyama is writing the script for this film, but you have to understand, with the Resurrection F script, the way he writes scripts is not like the way he writes manga. They're very, very simple. So Toriyama will not be writing explicit details of things in this script, as far as I know. That'll be up to Toei to kind of fill in the gaps. What you're going to get is mostly bullet point type stuff, and some dialogue here and there. Hopefully they'll actually release the script to the public someday, like they did with Resurrection F, and then that'll make things a lot easier for us to kind of understand. So either way, Toriyama is definitely involved in the creative process of this movie, for better or for worse. Some people think that Toriyama's past his prime, that he can't write a great story anymore because Resurrection F and Dragon Ball Minus was kind of a letdown. Trunks' arc was a bit of a weird ending, and I kind of understand that, but it seems like this story, with the Saiyans being involved. And again, I'm guessing that they're going to be, ancient, old school Saiyans from the past, especially with the fact that it says past and present, which I'm very excited about. Give me some Godfather 2 type of things. Maybe it's half in the present, half in the past. That would be cool. And by the way, I don't think that means time travel. That's not what I'm talking about. I think that means that we're going to see some flashbacks to things that happened way before Goku and Vegeta were born. That's the way I'm perceiving that, and I'm pretty sure I'm right about it. But nonetheless, having Toriyama get inspired by this story gives me some hope that his writing will be, up to par, so to speak. I'm very excited after reading this. And it says here, the final translation from Herms, whether or not they could draw Goku's face was irrelevant, since if they had real artistic skill, they could simply learn that later. First, it was necessary to take care of the fundamentals. So, Toriyama, again, back to basics. I know some people are not digging the whole Shintani art style. I know a lot of folks they like Tadayoshi Yamamuro. Most of the comments I've read in my comment section, as well as other parts of social media, seem to be cool with it. It is supposed to be an old school vintage look. Goku is supposed to look like he did in the original manga. And I like it. I like it, and it allows for much more fluidity in the battles. If everything goes according to plan, this movie could be, could have the best battles that we've ever seen, even better than the Goku and Jiren stuff in Super. I mean, you never know. Oh wait, we ain't done yet. Got one more translation here. last minute. It says here, Toriyama also checked thoroughly body balance to see if candidates properly understood the body inside the martial arts uniform. In the end, Toriyama personally selected Shintani as the new designer. So Toriyama is the man who chose Shintani. He chose Shintani to draw these characters. He wanted the old school manga look. So at the end of the day, the movie looks the way it does because of Toriyama making that decision. That's huge news if you ask me. So not only did Toriyama select Shintani as a designer, but there's actually more here. Herms translates, Iyoku says it's one of their goals to deliver this film to fans all over the world, but it'll still take time once the film is completed for it to be localized and debut overseas. So they're talking about the whole simultaneous worldwide release. We don't know for sure if it's going to be simultaneous, but that's being discussed right there. And now here's some interesting stuff, I think. Ikoyu says Toriyama's story includes a whole ton of fan service. Although in context, I think he means more in the crowd-pleasing sense than the sexiness sense. So yeah, don't expect like sexual stuff here, you know what I mean? He goes on to say, still, he does say elsewhere that Bulma and the rest of the female cast this time will be extra cute. So that's expected, of course, because you know, it's Shintani doing it. But crowd pleasing and things like that just kind of tells me it's going to have a lot of cool fights and probably some cool references to older Dragon Ball stuff. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm very excited about this movie. Just got done watching Infinity War, you know, a couple nights ago. I did my review over on World of Geekdom, so go check that out. I've got both spoiler and non-spoiler reviews on there for that movie, and I hope that this one, I mean, I'm not saying it's going to be as good, but being a hardcore Dragon Ball fan, I hope it gives me that, you know, that satisfaction, you know, of that movie. But we'll see. We'll see. Again, I'm just very excited based on everything that we're seeing here. Anyways, let me know in the comments what you think about all these interviews or all these translations from the interview. Are you excited more about the movie now? What do you think about this whole past and present thing and how we're going to be... And I kind of had a feeling they were going to do this. We're going to talk a lot about what happened before Planet Vegeta, the ancient Saiyans, and what's going on now. How does it relate? Will we see Universe 6? So much to talk about here as we prepare for the summer, where we're really going to get a whole bunch of new Dragon Ball stuff from this movie. I'm very excited to talk to y'all about it. So thank you. Hope y'all have a great day. I love you guys. Take care of yourself and each other, and I'll catch you in the next one.